going to get quite tactical now. So we've identified that we have a total addressable market that is reasonable sized for us to go into this new market, and that the opportunity for growth there exists. And then we've built out our ideal customer profile. And now it's kind of time to dive into the models that we're going to build for our outbound sales team and also sales quotas. This will then help inform what we're going to do on the marketing side. I'm going to hand over on this slide to Charles to kind of talk through, how you guys approach this from the sales piece.
No, thanks, Alice. Yeah, I think as I alluded to before, it all kind of starts with that ICP or TAM exercise where you're looking at the accounts that are great fits for you, how many of them there are, if you can segment them by, a lot of people look at SMB, mid-market, enterprise, and then you probably, from your existing markets, have a pretty good idea of what an average deal size should be at those accounts. And you might want to give yourself a little leniency there, especially in the early going, because your average deal size might be a little lower in these markets. And that's where I start to think about, all right, what's that market capitalization look like? Is this a $50 million opportunity for us, a $500 million opportunity? And then you've got to think about, how aggressive is this plan? Is this something we're dipping the toe in the water and reinvesting in kind of gradually, or is this something that we know it's there, we want to capture this market quickly, and build yourself a plan to start to go after that market size? So looking at, hey, do we have a 3-year runway here, or is it a 5-year runway to get to the percentage we want of that potential revenue out in market? Then when we have kind of a plan of how we want to go after it, then we have to think about how realistic is it to go after it with the staff we have in place? How many outbound leads would we need to hit those revenue goals? What's our lead conversion rate from outbound today when we try to generate interest across different channels? How much money do we spend on that? And then how does that equate to how many meetings each rep will get every week, every quarter? What's our close rate that we have in our existing market from meeting set at a qualified account to actually booking a deal, winning a sale? And again, you might give yourself a little flexibility here because you probably have figured a lot of things out in your existing market where your conversion percentages might be a little higher, but that's probably a good start to say, hey, we know we're going to be doing some top funnel nurture, but a lot of this is going to be feet on the ground, engaging these people, these accounts that we know are great fits and potentially showing intent. How many leads do we think we can generate? Meetings do we think we can generate? And how do we staff that so we can do it at scale?
Amazing. And then I just wanted to check if you've got anything more to add back on this, or
no, I think Charles has nailed it there.
Yeah, amazing. I guess I have one question just from my side, because you guys are coming at it from a sales perspective, but you know, we've done the TAM research in the ICP, and there is, you know, potentially in the early days you're not going to have, especially as you're building up in a new market, you're going to have minimal reps potentially in place, and build it gradually as you prove out that market. How do you decide which part of the TAM and the ICP, obviously intent I'm sure is going to play a part of it, but specifically industries like maybe first, or target buyer persona you're going to go after first? Like, how do you make those decisions, or do you just build out a plan to tackle them all over the year?
Yeah, I think you have a pretty good instinct for industries that you know are great fits for you. Like for us specifically, we sell to intent data. What we sell can be used by all different industries, but we found that tech companies, finance companies are the ones that have the most budget for it, are running a lot of sophisticated types of plays where intent would be a really nice addition to their funnel. They're very metric oriented, we found. So while we have a big market, we'd say those are the ones that are more low hanging fruit for us. So I think you go based on instinct. And also, you probably, even before you go into this new market, you're probably getting some inbound interest from companies that are just super entrepreneurial and maybe beating you to market and saying, hey, we've heard about you, we want to work with you. And I think some of those leading indicators of people that are reaching out, combined with some of the historic successes you've seen, are probably the best places to start, both like industry, persona, like very targeted geographic parameters. And then, of course, try to base that, kind of push that feedback against people in the market today, consultants, colleagues, acquaintances, just to try to validate those assumptions that you're making is kind of how we go about it.
Great, makes sense, thank you. And then this brings us on to, but I mean, this is more of a takeaway, I think, for everyone watching or watching on demand later. I won't like go into it in super detail, but I think it just covers what Charles has mentioned. But it's actually the model that we use at Cognism, so that you can work out exactly from your revenue target how many heads do you need in your SDR outbound team, how many heads you're going to need in your BDM closing team, and this is the model that we use, and we sort of worked out here exactly how you can look at that and then take that away and kind of build it out for yourself if you are looking to go into a new market. But I think that's more of a takeaway resource than something we'll digest on the slide now. And then in terms of marketing, so this is what I use and is my model at Cognism for building out the targets within my segments and for regions, and when we go to market in a new region. I guess the main things here that I'm going to cover are you need to make sure you understand what your conversion rates are across your different channels within marketing. So you don't want to be you don't want to bucket it all in together and assume a combined conversion rate, because I think that will just get you in trouble. Also allow, as we've said before, for a bit of buffer onto those conversion rates, because what you have optimized at scale in your current market is not what you're going to end up starting with in your new market. And then you also want to break it out into segments. So depending on what you've agreed, what strategy is when you're going to market in a new region, what do those segments look like, and your conversion rates and your average deal sizes and other key metrics are likely to vary for those segments. And that's kind of what goes into the model, really. Once you have that information and you can break it down across the funnel, you can very easily build out what your targets look like, how many deals you need to be bringing in across which channel, and then from there, the way I kind of am able to put forward budget proposals in terms of what will be required to hit those targets. I can work out what the cost per sales qualified opportunity is going to be, and then from there, it's a really easy place to work out what the budget required will be to hit those goals in terms of deals and MRR. I suppose the one thing I haven't mentioned as well is understand what split your CEO or leaders are requiring from marketing to contribute when you do go to market. So for us, we try and aim at 53% marketing contribution to the new business revenue target. So that's where we start as our baseline. I guess Matt and Charles, do you have anything you'd like to add on that tool?
I would just say, Alice, that it's obviously, I would build in a certain amount of flexibility into this. This is obviously a brand new market to a company, and it's very much a moving target. That's all I would add, and just make sure that you may very well do much better than the projections, but you might do a lot worse as well. So build in the flexibility both ways. That's all I would say.